Thanks so much for tuning in to the latest episode of Beyond Ballin. Make sure to comment, like, and subscribe, and even hit that notification bell so that you get alerted every time I drop a new episode.
Everybody wanna come to La La Land. Everybody wanna come to La La Land.
Welcome back to another episode of Beyond Ballin. I'm your host, Lawrencia Moten, and today's episode is extremely special. It honestly might be my favorite episode to date. I get the amazing chance to talk to Syracuse University's all-time leading scorer, former Washington Wizard and Vancouver Grizzlies NBA player, philanthropist and youth advocate, and most importantly, my dad, Lawrence Moten. Dad, thanks for taking the time to talk to me.
Absolutely, Lala. Glad to be here and looking forward to this interview. Not only are you happy, I'm happy too. This is a special day to me.
So, first things first, for you, everyone knows you as Syracuse's all-time leading scorer. What does that legacy mean to you?
Oh, it means a lot for the simple fact that it shows that my 4 years of hard work and dedication paid off. When I first got to Syracuse, a lot of people didn't think that even myself didn't think at the time I would be the leading scorer of such a prestigious university. But I was able to work hard, and like I used to tell you and your sister, so almost every day is an audition, and the work that you put in will be the work that gets in return. So I did 4 years there, averaged 20 for four, had some great times, won a lot of games, and the rest is history.
I think that's a great point that you mentioned because one of my questions was going to ask you, like, did you realize coming to Syracuse the impact that you were going to have on the university as a whole?
Of course, being a 17-year-old kid, you don't think of the impact that you're going to have. But I remember coming up there, and it was already easy for me because my high school teammate, Marvin Graves, was already at the university and he was the star quarterback. So at the time, when I got there, and he used to tell me, if you do what you have to do, these people will roll out the red carpet for you. And I ended up having 4 great years there, breaking records, winning games, and Syracuse is considered my second home.
Definitely. So, being from this area, right, the DMV, there's numerous players that played in the NBA. You're one of them.
Mm.
130 to be exact, out of only like 1,500 players that have ever gotten drafted since the start of the National Basketball Association. Why do you feel like people from this area are so successful when it comes to basketball?
Well, first of all, the whole DMV as a whole, is a sports city that we're from and community. So we have a lot of great athletes here in more than one sport, not just basketball, but football, baseball. So, we're people who are hungry, who love the game, and who play with passion. And that's what I was taught as a young age, playing with older guys, understanding what it took to be successful. But at the end of the day, it all starts with your hard work and your dedication. I can remember being in the sixth grade and telling myself that I was either going to play in the NBA or the NFL. So my point is, I saw it back then, because I was always taught if you want to be something, you have to see it and you got to feel it. And I was able to do that thankful to my parents, my mother, my father, and all the surrounding people that I grew up around who instilled in me work hard, work pays off. And if you do what you have to do and do it the right way, successful things will come.
Definitely. That's something that you've always told Leilani and I, right? You have to see it, right? Even when we're doing basketball drills, you have to envision yourself in those situations and see the outcome. Today's lingo, that would be manifestation, right? You are manifesting.
Okay.
How did you know that that was going to be a tool for success? Who taught you that?
Well, I would consider this self motivation and teaching yourself. I was one to always, go outside the box, even when if I was playing with a team. Of course, you have a team practice, but you also have to practice individually. So I would do things on my own, and imagine myself playing a game within a game with my mind. Because if you can always understand, even any sport that you play, uh, the percentage of the game is mental. and I was able to learn that at a young age. You know, I used to envision myself doing great things. I had two beds in my room when I was growing up, and one of the things when my mother would wash my uniform, I would put the uniform, whether it be football or basketball, on the bed that I wouldn't sleep on, and actually get in the other bed and close my eyes and see myself doing great things. So you know, and eventually most of those things came true, like deja vu. So you know, it's all about seeing it and understanding at the end of the day, what you put in is what you're going to get out of it.
Who inspired you the most, right? Because I think one thing that's hard for some kids nowadays is being able to put themselves in those shoes, right? When they've never experienced knocking down a game winning shot. How do you envision that when you don't have anything to draw from?
Well, like I said, I had former players that I looked up to that instilled that in me, and you know, I felt like I was a good student of the game. You know, even when games were being played on TV, CBS, Magic Johnson and Larry Bird, Michael Jordan, and all those guys, I used to actually have a sheet of paper and I would put points, rebounds, and assists. So, of my favorite players now, these are only my favorite players I would do it to. So basically, while the game is going on, I got my pen and my pad and I'm watching the game, observing the game, but I'm also keeping stats of my favorite player, knowing what he did well. So, like, the reporters could never tell me how many points my favorite player had because I already knew because I was keeping the stats. So, just little things like that I always did, you know, and I guess I call it being a good student of the game.
Definitely. I think that is just something that separates those people who are outstanding from just the people who are like just good, right? The
Absolutely.
extra that you were able to
Absolutely.
put in. Now, a
Absolutely.
lot of people don't know that. Well, a lot of people outside the DMV, because I think everyone from DC, Maryland, Virginia knows that you were an outstanding football player as
Mhm.
well.
Yes.
The only player in the metropolitan area to be all met in both football and basketball, both junior and senior years. I did a lot of research last night and I read a Washington Post article from 1990 that said you had 13 interceptions, 55 passes for 10 touchdowns, and returned two punts for scores. Okay. And you were a 6'4 safety. So a
Mhm.
unicorn.
Yeah.
So you were going to the NFL if you weren't going to the NBA.
Uh,
We're just gonna say that.
oh, no, you don't have to just imagine that. That would have happened. There's no question about it. I always tell myself it was either the NBA or the NFL. And I was just passionate about the game. You know, you got me reminiscing of days when it's raining and snowing outside. And I used to be out there just playing by myself, like I said, a game within a game, and people yelling off the balcony, "What are you doing? You look crazy." And I used to point up there at them and say, "Well, I'm going to the NBA or the NFL." And I was blessed to make the NBA, but it's no doubt in my mind that I would have played in the NFL. I love the game. My high school, my senior year was phenomenal. It was 13 touchdowns and 13 interceptions. So I'll get that correct. You know, defensive player of the year. I take a
Yes.
homage to that, you know, and that senior year, I was able to go to Carlisle where the Washington Redskins, aka Commanders now, who that's the name of their team now. I was able to go to their practice facility and I'll never forget it. Once I walked in to accept the award as defensive player of the year, Joe Gibbs, the great Joe Gibbs, you know, I'm a diehard Redskin commander. The great Joe Gibbs said, "Lawrence, I'll see you in 3 years." And I'll never forget that.
Wow. How did that touch your spirit?
Oh, it touched me a lot because we talking about a Super Bowl champion coach, three Super Bowl champion rings, who's seen a lot of talent. And I'm coming out of high school, and just for him to know who I was and to see some of the things that I did, you know, I guess he saw the potential. So I thank him for that, but it also I thank myself for my hard work and dedication.
Definitely. For you, why did you choose basketball? Because I'm sure everyone out there is wondering now, you were so good at football,
Mm.
so good at basketball. What made you choose this lane?
Yeah, it was crazy. It was a tough decision for me mentally because, you know, When basketball season was here, I'm here. It's like a seesaw. In football season, I was like, I couldn't make up my mind. But going to Syracuse on a basketball scholarship, I went up there, and like I said, one of the reasons why I came to Syracuse, was my high school teammate Marvin Graves, who was the quarterback at Archbishop Carroll at the time, and he was already there. So once I decided to come up there, it was like I would go to the practices, and I was thinking about doing both. I truly was, but academically and staying acclimated to both sports was something rare. A few people tried it, and it was very hard to do, um, playing both sports on a true high level. And I can remember telling Coach Boeheim that the coach of Syracuse, Coach Boeheim, I remember telling him, Coach, I can do this. And he looked at me and said, well, Lawrence, you came here, you have a scholarship to play basketball. And if anything, I can tell you there's less injury and more money in basketball. So as a 17-year-old, it made a lot of sense. And then I would see my high school, my teammates, Marvin Graves and Al Wooten. I was the only guy who roomed with football players. So I would see them. We would go to class at 8:30 in the morning. I would go to practice. Practice would be 3 to 5. I'm home about 6 o'clock. These guys wouldn't get home until 10 o'clock at night, every night. And I'm like, what are you guys doing? You're like, well, we got film session, we got individuals. And Marvin, he was the star quarterback. So he used to have a binder with all the plays. And then that's when I truly realized that I just wanted to play football. I don't want to do all of that stuff. So so I decided to make the right move,
Yeah,
and it was basketball.
definitely. What do you feel like was the most pivotal moment for you that maybe changed the trajectory of your Syracuse career?
Yes, that's a great question, and it was my freshman year. I didn't start the first two games of the season, but Adrian Autry came down and he sprained his ankle. That was my teammate, who's now the head coach of Syracuse University. He sprained his ankle, and Coach Boeheim would put who's the starters each game we would play. He would put who's starting. He would write down on the list, before you even get to the locker room. So as I walk in, we were playing in Atlanta at the Omni, and it was called the ACC Big East Challenge. So we played Florida State, and they had great players: Sam Cassell, Rodney Dobar, Bob Sir. I ended up being my teammate at Vancouver, Doug Edwards. They had a very good team. And I remember walking in the locker room and seeing my name on the list as the starter. And I was so happy and just with emotion that I left the locker room. And this times, you girls don't know about payphones. A lot of people don't know about payphones. So we didn't have access to phones at the time. So I left the locker room and I went under the tunnel and I saw a payphone. And I remember dialing that number, dialing zero, collect call to my mother, may she rest in peace. And I was like, Mom, I'm starting. And I remember her screaming so loud, oh, baby, I'm so happy for you. I'm so happy. I got one thing to tell you. I'm like, what? Give it to me, Mom. Give it to me. She said, don't give it back. And I was blessed to have 4 great years at Syracuse. I ended up having 24 points that game, my first starting game of my year. And the rest is history, but I never gave it back.
You never did.
Mhm.
And out of 121 games that you played at Syracuse, you scored double figures in 118.
Yes.
So the first two you didn't start, so we're gonna give you a pass, and then one more you might have been sick. But every other game you scored at least 20 points, and that's unheard of.
Yeah, but the crazy thing is, Lala, is I remember the 3 games that I had 9 points each time.
Right there,
All 3 games that
right
I
there.
didn't score double figures,
Wow.
I had 9 points, and I remember that. So yeah, I was hard on myself, but hard in a good way. Because I tell people all the time, when you in whatever you do in life, if you truly feel like you're working hard at it and giving it your all, nobody could tell you you're not working hard.
And how do you gauge that? As somebody who a lot of people would say was perfect, right? Like I know that oftentimes people will tell me and explain how your game was because I didn't get to see you play. and they'll say like it was just so easy for him. You know, he had like a poetic style, that smooth crossover, the high socks. It seemed like it was just so easy for him. How do you, explain to those people that it wasn't easy? It came
Yeah.
from tons of hard work that we're learning about right now.
Mhm.
And, you were just blessed to have a gift, you
Yes.
know?
Yep, the gift of anticipation, the gift of seeing things happen before they happen. And I was big on that, and I credit that to me playing football also, which helped me understand contact. I wasn't worried about hitting somebody's body because I was tackling people. So, and I played safety, so I knew how to read and react. I knew if the big man got the ball at the top of the key, his first instinct would be catch and pass. So I would always read. That would be my steal. So, just like little things like that, always being a student of the game and anticipating and knowing situations helped me. But it also ended up being a flaw to an extent uh, later in my career.
Mm.
While playing in the NBA, I remember wasn't playing as much as I wanted to, and I felt like I should have. And I remember talking to my agent and having him, ask the coaches, "What's the problem? Like, why am I not playing as much as I should?" And he would always say, "Well, they're saying they're looking like they say in practice and in the games, it looks like you're not working hard enough or you're not giving your all." But my thing was like, well, I'm giving you 20 to 25 points.
Mhm.
So what more do you
The
want? So
productivity was there.
so sometimes it could be a flaw of some people saying that you're not working hard enough.
Yeah. Well, I think you were just before your time. Because now, when I look at the NBA, it's all finesse. It's all smooth. It's really the goal of these players, from my eyes, from a fan standpoint, is to make things look as easy as possible.
Yeah,
They don't even want to. They don't want you to see them sweat.
yeah,
You know.
yeah.
So, I think that's just a credit to you, like you said, like anticipations, being so forward thinking,
Mhm.
and what's for you can't be for you. But do you agree with that? Do you feel like you were before your time a little bit?
Oh well, I'm definitely I can say I was before my
You would have
time
fit
with it.
in
With
the
the
NBA right now. Your playing
absolutely,
style completely.
absolutely, no doubt, no doubt in my mind, it would have been easier because it was a little bit harder when I was coming up because they had true centers.
Yes.
Now today, there's no true low post big men. I mean, you have great players. They're great players now. Don't get me wrong, but no Shaquille O'Neal's, no Akeem Olajuwons, Patrick Ewing's, where guys were stuck on that block. And then I'm not even talking about the power forwards, Karl Malone, Dennis Rodman, just big bodies that you will have to actually have contact with from their teammates running you off screen. So I tell people basketball is now outside in, meaning the 3-point line in,
Mhm,
instead of when I was coming up inside out. The
mhm.
big man had to touch the ball first before you could make your move and do what you want to do. So you throw it into the big, make your cuts, or stay there. If the big throw it back to you, now it's on you. But the choice back then was feed the big man, feed the big man. Now it's more 3-point
Everybody
shots.
can shoot threes,
Everybody's
spread
jacking
out.
threes. Yep,
Yeah,
more
throw
spread
one
it out
in.
type of
Just
game.
yeah, play
And,
ball.
and it's cool. It's just it's called a different time.
Mhm.
It is what it is. But I definitely think it was more aggressive and physical when I was playing.
I think everyone would attest to that. That's the ongoing debate, within this generation. Like, who would it be
Oh
harder? Is
yeah,
LeBron better than
and there,
Michael?
and there are a
That
lot of
whole
great players.
conversation
But one of the things I want to say, I'm glad you brought that up, is to me is very important. The Michael Jordan and LeBron James
debate.
debate. Can we please stop it? And my point is this: it should be Michael Jordan, Kobe,
Mhm.
LeBron, Magic. See, two different styles. Magic fits LeBron fits more Magic style, and of course, Kobe will tell you he did everything like Mike. May Kobe rest in peace. So it's more Kobe, Mike, LeBron, Magic.
Why do you
And,
think people want to? I mean, true basketball players, I think, can understand what you're saying, right? With like just the size alone, right?
mhm.
Magic was what, six
The
nine
the
point
size
guard.
alone and the killer instinct and the tenacity. that Mike played, Kobe had that same thing. Now Magic was more finesse, could do it all. 6'9" point guard. LeBron 6'9", finesse, physical at a time, but if a lot of people don't understand, he didn't have a post game in his early part of his career. But until he started to learn that, I think that's when his game changed. So more similar to Magic than me, but
Mhm.
the Mike and LeBron talk should never be talked about. It's always Mike, Kobe.
I agree. So you mentioned the draft. You are a part of the 1995 NBA draft class.
Mhm.
Joe Smith, Kevin Garnett, some big names along with yourself.
Mhm.
How was the overall draft experience for you?
Oh, it was a beautiful feeling, because I felt like at that time I fulfilled my dream to always, like I said, telling that lady from the balcony, I'm going to play in the NBA or the NFL. It was no doubt in my mind. And I put in the hard work and the dedication. And I had 4 great years at Syracuse that went very well. And it was a beautiful feeling. Uh, you got me reminiscing. I remember it like it was yesterday. My mother was there. I had about 50 of my friends, and we were all at grandma's house. And they also flew cameras from Syracuse into DC. So they were all at grandma's house. So when my name was called, everybody was screaming and hollering, and it was called by the Vancouver Grizzlies. And I just remember it was just so loud and everybody was so happy and I was happy. And the first thing I did, I got up and I ran upstairs to the bathroom. And the first thing I did, I got on my knees and I thank God for this opportunity, for fulfilling my dream. And then you know what I said, Lala?
What?
Where the hell is Vancouver? So because it was a
Where
franchise,
am I going? Yeah.
it was the first,
Yeah.
I was the second pick in franchise in Vancouver's history.
Yeah.
And ended up loving Vancouver. I call it the hidden city, beautiful place, beautiful people, good food. So it worked out, but that was definitely a weird moment
Yeah.
of trying to figure out where Vancouver was.
Yeah, and now they're in Memphis, so the Grizzlies are now in
Yes, they're
Memphis,
now in
which is a
Memphis.
different fit for them. I mean,
Exactly.
that's so amazing because, you know, not everyone gets to have that feeling.
Yes.
I think a lot of times, especially like talking like my friends now, we all have dreams, but reality, not everyone's going to be able to live them. So, what advice would you give to someone who, maybe feels like they haven't reached their dream yet?
Mhm. Well, only advice I can give is, if you truly are passionate and love what you do and is trying to take it to that next level, understand that. And now we're just talking about basketball,
Yeah.
you know, in the basketball setting, and this goes to the youth. And I truly want you to understand what I'm saying. If you truly, truly love the game and are passionate about the game, you have to be hungry and not just want to eat. A lot of people just want to eat and not hungry. They don't want to put in the work. They don't want to put in the time. So, the people just want to eat. They already got food in the cupboard. But that hungry person is going to go out there and work hard every day to be the best that they can be. And so you truly, truly have to put in the work and it's really a mental game with yourself, understanding that if I give my all and really push myself, I can be the best I can be. And I go back to my mother, may she rest in peace. And it's just in the business world and whatever you do. She always used to tell me, you are your own private contractor in whatever corporation you're in. So the work that you put in is going to be this type of style or the type of person that you are, but you got to put in the work.
Mm. Obviously basketball teaches life lessons, right?
Mhm.
What would you say is the biggest transferable skill that you have been able to transfer to life after the ball stopped dropping?
Well, getting my degree in childhood education has helped that, and understanding that, of course, you play sports and people make a lot of money and do great things, but at the end of the day, the ball has to stop,
Mhm.
and you have to have something to fall back on. And I truly think that's one of my blessings too, is that um, I was able to deal with understanding when your career is over and you have to move on into the next phase of whatever, God decides to put you into doing in your life. So, uh,
It didn't come from like a lack. You didn't feel like you were lacking. You felt like you were
no, no,
transitioning.
no, no,
It
no.
felt
It's a transition that you have to deal with.
yeah,
And the reality is, you got some people that really can't. A
yeah,
lot of people can.
yeah.
That's in anything. You got a million people that are millionaires who are miserable,
Mhm.
and then you got people who are poor who are happy as can be.
Yeah.
So it's just about, who you are as a person and how you feel and the work you put in and the dedication you put in and also what you was taught. My grandmother, may she rest in peace, and my mother, may she rest in peace. They instilled in me that um, at the end of the day, it has nothing to do with money. It's about how you treat people and your character and having respect and having people respect you. So if anything, I can say that's what it's about. Truly having respect for people and expecting it in return. Right now I'm the youth development leader for the district in Syracuse, dealing with kids in middle school to high school. I love what I do, and I get to see the different cultures in the schools and everything. But I'm passionate about it. I tell people the same way I was an All American in sports, I go in that same way in the working field. I'm an all star in the working field also.
I think that's amazing. And that's something you always told me,
Mhm,
like playing. You were like, Lala, you are more than just a basketball. You have
mhm.
other things as well.
Right.
And I think that's super important. And why I am so passionate about this podcast, Beyond Ballin, is because a lot of people don't have somebody in their life
Yes.
that's telling them that they have value beyond just sports.
Yes.
Especially in this area, we have so many people that, I mean, we eat, sleep, breathe sports out here.
Right.
We are so good. Where even with me, when I got injured, I felt like a piece of my identity was kind of like lost, because it's like people say,
Yeah.
what do you do?
Right.
I play basketball.
Right.
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 So when you can't do that, when you're injured or when it's time to move on, if you didn't already feel like you have value on this world, it could be a completely different scenario. And a lot of people have mental health issues because of it.
Hmm.
What advice do you just give to those people to
Well,
stay uplifted or
well, that
strengthened?
comes with, at the end of the day, too, it comes with having a strong family
Yeah.
and the background that you're raised around, Of course, that's important, but it's also important for you as an individual to be mentally strong. And you got me reminiscing. And I can remember days, when you and your sister would go to school, get up in the morning, 5:30 in the morning, and have an hour away to go to Bullis. So you have to get on the bus, drive an hour away, then you will go to school, then you will have practice. Finish practice, then you're back at home by 8 o'clock. So we talking about 5:30 to 8 o'clock. You guys were doing a full day.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget one of the things that impressed me was I used to sometimes walk past your rooms and at maybe 12 o'clock midnight, you guys were up studying, doing your work. So that's inner strength.
Yeah.
That's what you told yourself you were going to do. So, nobody could tell you to do that. We could want you to do that,
Yeah.
but you actually, and both of you instilled that in yourself of being passionate and how to good study habits and everything. And that's what has taken you guys far of having good study habits and learning how to study and learning how to, just push yourself.
Mhm.
That's important.
Thank you, Daddy. Yeah, I mean, it was hard, right? Like high school.
Yeah, it was
High
hard.
school was, because we are from Prince George's County and Bullis is in Potomac. So, like you said, an hour. Um, it was no joke, but
Every day.
it definitely instilled that discipline and that understanding that, if you want it,
Yeah,
now is the time,
yeah,
to show it.
yeah.
And I think
Good study
definitely,
habits.
yeah,
All of that
hard
comes into
work,
play.
work ethic for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah,
And both of our parents have it. I
yeah,
think it was a no-brainer,
yeah,
right? Like
yeah, yeah.
in life, I feel like as a family, we've just
Right,
always been extremely resilient
right.
and strong, and I
And for
think
the
that's just
kids
gonna
who
keep
don't have it, like maybe strong parents, try to, look into somebody that you look up to, role model or whoever it may be. That person is going to instill that in you also because it's in everybody. You just got to figure it out. We all have a role in this life we live in. It's just your job to figure out your niche and your role and how to be successful and be the right person and do the right thing.
Thank you for that. Back to basketball. If you could relive one basketball moment, whether it be from Syracuse or your professional career, which one would it be?
If I could relive, okay, I'm going to high school,
Hmm.
city title, city title game. I don't know if you guys ever noticed. Well, we played Dunbar at Cofield House, which is Maryland University's arena, and we were playing for the city title, and we were up 2 points, 82 to 80. Now, this is the first year in high school that three-pointers are allowed.
Mm.
And to make a long story short, a guy named Donald Ford, what's up, D Ford? D Ford hit a half-court shot to win the game, 83-82. So he took my city title from me and my teammates. Very disturbing. But, it's funny because I still talk to some of those guys now. Romeo Roach, a friend of mine, he was on that team. And I always joke with those guys when I would see him. I was like, I wonder will we still be friends if you missed that shot? So we
Would they
so
be as
yeah,
kind
yeah,
as
yeah, yeah, when they,
forgiving?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
so we always laugh about it. They'd be like, well, Mo, we'll never know,
Yeah.
so we laugh it off. But yeah, losing that city title game and going home, and we had George Michael Sports Machine, which was, may he rest in peace. He was a great sports anchor here in the DMV, one of the best in the world. And he used to have the sports machine every Sunday night. So they showed that. And I'll never forget Donald Ford, everybody jumping on him, and he's looking at the camera, and he said, "Hey, you know what, George? I'm going to Disney World." And I just remember falling on my bed like, no,
Aw.
but so
Man, okay,
that
so
was a
this is a
moment.
moment that you want to relive so that you can rue the day, huh? So you could go back and what, drop
Nah,
30 instead of
well, I had 29,
oh!
should have had 31.
Okay, there we go.
So it
So
is
this
what it
is so you
is.
could have just one
Well,
more
you asked the moment that I can
that
remember,
you would want
so
to relive.
yeah.
Is there a happier moment that you would mind sharing with us? Or no, you
Oh, well, many happy moments.
anything
Many.
where it's like, oh, the feeling of that
Uh,
was just so great. I guess the
yes,
draft, right?
the draft, we talked about
Yeah.
it, always beating Georgetown
Oh yeah.
was a big thing, for bragging rights when I came back home to DC. I was able to talk trash. My record's 4-2 against Georgetown in my career. So, yeah, little things, but for the most part, man, I had some great times. Um, Playing on all levels, met some good people, and that's the thing that I can say too, that no matter what field, if you play the sport of basketball, it's like an alumni. You're
Mhm.
always gonna be connected, and I'm still connected to a lot of good people.
You definitely are. I mean, every time we go out, you're either being stopped by somebody who recognizes you or you see somebody that you recognize who
Mhm,
you played with.
mhm.
And I think that's so amazing, especially like at this time in like all of our lives, like
Yeah,
being able to see that. And now that the field that I work in, I get to commentate even alongside people that either watched you play or played with you, right? Which is
yeah.
so awesome.
It is,
So
it
I've been
is.
loving that.
And
And I'm
I've been
just so
loving it too,
blessed.
Lala. I've been loving it too, actually, to see you out there doing great things, calling the game the right way. And I can just remember, like, at one time, teaching you how to read stats
Yeah.
and learning the game, understanding the questions that different people are going to ask and the questions that you can ask players, being a former player, makes the game easy. And you played the game. So, that's what I wanted you to always remember too when you're calling the game. Understand that you played the game, so you know the little nuances about certain things that are going to happen. And I'm so happy for you, and you're doing a great job.
Thank you. I don't need Chat GPT because I have my dad. You know, everybody uses artificial intelligence. I have Lawrence Moten. He's a student of the game. I mean, at any time, we'll go over film. I'll send you pictures of the team
Yep,
stats.
that's right.
Tell me what you think of this. I'll compare it with my notes. It's just helped me excel far beyond anything I could have expected at this point in my career. And I definitely owe a huge bit of that to you
Yeah.
because of everything you've been able to help me with.
Well, and remember what I told you, it's not just sports.
True.
You are a natural when it comes to reporting and
Yeah.
telling it like it is, news, I told you I envision, well, I'm gonna tell y'all this, and this is what I think. I actually envision my daughter on Good Morning America. I don't know how long it's gonna take, but you heard it here first.
Okay. I'm here for it. With Robin Roberts, alongside of Robin Roberts. I love my
Well,
girl,
if
Robin.
she's here, if she's there, she's
Yeah,
there. If
yeah.
she's not, she's not.
No, yeah. Oh, that just gave me chills. That would be awesome. My last question. As you know, the name of this podcast is Beyond Ballin. To you, what does that mean?
Beyond balling is understanding that the ball has to stop sometime and you have to have something to fall back on. And like I said, I was a professional basketball player for 11 years, 3 in the NBA, 8 overseas. I've been blessed to travel all over this world. And it stopped and it ended, but you still have to have something to fall back on. I got my degree in childhood education. I'm doing great things for the youth in Syracuse
Yes, you
and in this area in the DMV where I'm from. And that's what it's about. It's about growing, and I'm continuing to grow.
Yes, you are. And
Yes.
I'm just so proud of you. Reading the articles last night was making me emotional because of the amount of work that you put in, you know?
Hmm.
Like
Hmm.
I see you as my dad. And now I think last night I had an aha moment as to why people see and get so emotional. Like he's gonna cry. I mean, it's so
Yeah.
amazing
Hmm.
because you are a walking example of hard work and what can happen. And thank you.
You're welcome, baby. And all I can tell you is to keep doing great things that you're doing. You and your sister, I'm blessed to call. I'm blessed to be your father, and we have a lot of more great things to do.
Yes, we do.
Yep.
All right, you guys, let me wipe my tears. This was an amazing episode. Thank you so much, Dad, for
You're
taking
welcome.
time to talk to me.
You're welcome.
Um, and stay tuned for the next one, okay? Bye.